but Mom and I always knew that I was. I heard a saying a long time ago, a son is a son until he meets his wife, but a daughter is a daughter all of her life. That wasn't true in the Salazar family. It may be true in other families, but not mine. Let me tell you a few things that my brother Steve and my brother Mark already talked to you about. Both of Mom's parents died when she was just 2 years old. She had 8 brothers and sisters. My Uncle Mike, my namesake, kept the entire family together. He was only 18 at the time. My Uncle Mike made sure that all the kids were taken care of. Food, shelter, etc. This is something that absolutely would not occur today. More than likely, the children would have been split up. My mom and her brothers and sisters basically grew up, by today's standards, poor. But that didn't mean that they didn't have pride. They were all well-mannered, worked hard, and above all, very respectful and loved each other. My mom grew up with one purpose, and it was simple. Family first. There are some people who are born to do a job. Michelangelo to paint, Perry Como to sing, my mom to be a mother, a caregiver, a wife. Something that she thrived at. Now in today's day and age, many people would believe this is not a very important job, or a job to be proud of. Well, I'm here to tell you, that's the most important job. You see, my mom always cooked and cleaned. She made sure her 6 sons had not only what they needed, but at times what they wanted. I can remember one time my dad was buying a new family station wagon, and Mom wanted him to install an 8-track player in it. She said her boys would like that. Dad won, no 8-track. What was my mom best known for? Her food, cooking, unbelievable meals. And why was that? Because she knew her boys and my dad loved the food she cooked. It made us all happy. Food always brought people together. Dinner time was a special time for Mom. Why? Because she had all her boys in one place. She could see them all together and happy. We would eat, we would laugh, we would talk about our day. We ate as a family every night. It was always very cool for us to be together. The importance of the meal was not the food, it was being together. I learned this lesson from my mom. Elizabeth and I do the same thing with our family today. We have dinner together every night as a family. Now, there were times that my mom would defend her boys, maybe a bit too much. You see, she loved us so much that at times she just couldn't see her boys as anything less than perfect. I remember I was in 3rd grade. My teacher, Mrs. Platoni, had a meeting with my mom and I about my reading. I wasn't exactly a good student. She told my mom I was struggling in reading. My mom told her I could read just fine, and we got up and left. See, you couldn't tell my mom something negative about her boys. It didn't exist in her heart. But she knew I was struggling, and I got a tutor. But there wasn't a Chinaman's chance in hell she was going to admit that to that teacher. My mom's entire life revolved around her family. My dad did very well financially, and they clearly could have traveled. They could have bought expensive cars and spoiled themselves, but that didn't happen for 2 very simple reasons. That wasn't my mom's purpose. Her purpose was to take care of her family, not herself. And 2, Dad was a little cheap. But not when it came to his wife and children. He was very giving, actually. I moved out of my parents' house in 1978, 79, somewhere around there. I called my mom every day without fail. Basically, the conversations were the same. Michael, did you eat lunch yet? No, Mom. It's 1:30. What are you thinking about? Do you need anything? You know, I never recall asking her how she was doing. See, that wasn't our relationship. She was my guardian. She was my protector. It's funny how you pass things along, the things I've learned. I've been blessed with 6 children. They all call me every day. Tara, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. The conversations are basically the same. How are you doing? What do you need? Sometimes I get off the phone with them and I think, it'd be nice if they would just ask me how I was doing. But you see, that's not the relationship. Now I'm the protector. I'm the guardian. I'm grateful my mom passed the way she did. It gave me plenty of time to kind of wean myself off of her. I would still call her every day, but our conversations became shorter and shorter as time passed. And after a while, my mom started saying to me, would you like to say hi to your dad?
Are you?
I still call every day, but now I talk to my dad. I also got to see my father, a guy who literally could not boil water, do laundry, or basically accomplish anything around the house domestically. Take care of my mother to her final day. Remember, my mom was the boss of the house. She literally did everything. Dad never had to do a thing domestically. My parents were not what you would call very affectionate or use the word love a lot. They showed it by doing, not saying. In these last few years, I've witnessed a display of love that was an amazing lesson. Thank you, Dad. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't all work for my mom. She enjoyed many activities, crocheting blankets for everybody but herself. I remember she made my son Daniel a crocheted hooded sweatshirt once. I'm relatively sure he got beat up when he walked to school. I had a dog named Addie, also, that Mom made a sweater for. Addie wasn't allowed to wear it outside. It was only for special occasions, I guess. Mom also funded a little girl through Catholic Charities. This started in 1973, I believe. When the little girl turned 50 years old, we told Mom we think she's okay now. A few of my mom's great loves were getting a bargain. Boy, did she love to shop, but mostly for her grandkids and her kids. I'm sure she caused many a ruckus at the TJ Maxx clearance rack. Another one of my mother's loves were the babies. Boy, did she love babies. She spoiled every one of her grandchildren with kisses and hugs. Every time a new grandchild came home from the hospital, Mom was right there. You needed a crowbar to get that baby out of her arms and a chisel to get the smile off her face. No matter what month a baby was born, July or August, that kid was wearing a knitted hat. Mom and sister on it. Finally, after all the kids were grown and out of the house, my mom did develop a new pastime. She became a gambler, a high roller. My mom and dad, my Aunt Ro, my Uncle Vinny, my godmother Rosemary and Tom would hit the casinos. She loved to play the slots. They would spend the day out, spending upwards to $20 each. Her big thrill was when they'd get a free lunch. For being in a high rollers club, I guess. She would come home using her new lingo. Yeah, we were comped today. Another one of my mom's loves was smoking. I burned many a butt with her. Pretty much after every cigarette we smoked together, she would tell me it was quit, that smoking was no good for my health. I finally did quit about 5 years ago. Mom also enjoyed a glass of wine at dinner. I remember as a kid sitting at the dinner table and pouring her and my dad a glass of wine. And I mean, a glass of wine. But everything in my mother's life came back to the same thing, her family. That was her singleness of purpose, to make sure we were all okay. Now trust me, I caused the woman a bit of heartache, I'm sure. I remember the day before I married my current wife, Elizabeth. I refer to her as my current wife. I feel it keeps her on her toes. My mom and I were out smoking a butt together, and she said to me, Michael, I hope you're sure this time. I can't take much more of this. I said, Mom, I promise you, I think she's the one. She said, yeah, I haven't heard that before. We both laughed. I remember as a kid going to a few funerals. There would always be what I would call the Italian ladies chorus in the back. These were the women that would be uncontrollably crying and screaming. My takeaway was, as a little kid, whoever cries the loudest would win some kind of a prize. Here's what I grew up to believe today. I believe my mother had a full life. She had a purpose, and she felt valued. She had a wonderful husband who spoiled her by mainly just going along. She had 6 sons who loved her dearly, 6 daughter-in-laws who knew very well that my mom was the boss and she would never be replaced. She had 18 grandchildren. Tara is the first granddaughter in 90-some years in our family. Little spoiled. She also has 6 great-granddaughters. But the one thing my mom missed every day was my Uncle Mike. And now they're together. So you see, I'm going to miss my mom, absolutely. My mom always wanted all of us just to be happy. I believe today she is. I tell my kids the same thing every day. It's very simple. We're put on the earth for 2 very simple reasons. 1, to help each other. No questions asked. Somebody needs help, you stop and you help them. And to make memories. 2 very simple things. You see, I believe it's that simple. I learned all this from my mom. She didn't tell me this. She showed me this. I'd like to show you my mom's accomplishments. Steve, family, stand up. June, that's you. You're married to me. Yikes. Steve's current wife. Mark and family, please stand up. Amy, that girl. John and family, please stand up. My nephew Ricky is here in spirit. He did get to see my mom before she passed. Unfortunately, Ricky could not get in for the funeral. Joe and family, please stand up. Carl and family. Now lastly, my family. So please, everyone today, enjoy yourselves. No tears, unless they're from laughing. We love you, Mom. God bless.